If I were to ask you right now, what is the #1 thing to focus on to improve your game in Street Fighter? What would your answer be? What would your answer be, chat? Reactions? Cheat? Anti-airs, yes, indeed. Anti-airs are the #1 thing to focus on as a beginner to mid to even high-level player. Fixing your anti-airs and making sure your anti-airs are always on point and are always in proper response to a jump in and covering the right angles is key to gluing together your neutral and your entire game plan. The whole game of Street Fighter is held together by the glue of the anti-air. If you do not show your opponent that they need to respect your anti-airs, your ground game completely falls apart and loses credibility, and people will just jump and disrespect your neutral game, and your game plan will crumble before your eyes. So, I had to go on my own personal journey in terms of anti-airs recently, and you might have seen that documented in this video here with this thumbnail. This video is titled, "I've cracked the," in parentheses, "cheat code." And this video was me detailing how I finally learned to anti-air appropriately using the jump cancel SOCD input with Ed. And I had to basically teach myself all over again how to do a Shoryuken style input because I had switched to a leverless controller. I had never played a Shoryuken character with a leverless controller before, and I was basically unable to play Ed because I could not uppercut when people jumped. And with some context with Ed, it's really critical to learn how to properly anti-air with DP, because his DP, while very strong in terms of the angle that it covers, is actually weak in other ways. It's very slow. Most DPs might be 7 or less frames, like 5 to 7 frames. This one is a whole 10-frame startup, meaning you have to input it very quickly. And I was very weak at doing it with normal input methods, and I learned about the jump SOCD input method, and that was the one that worked for me, and that video detailed how I would go about doing it. And it's very good because with Ed's DP, you don't have to worry about most cross-up angles. At certain angles where other DPs would whiff, this DP will actually still hit in the front. So if people jump over you, there's a high chance that this DP will still hit kind of behind Ed's head. So this DP input method was really, really useful for Ed. Like, there was no situation where, like, at that angle, a lot of DPs will actually whiff. Jump SOCD was the best input method for me. And I'll go ahead and turn on the hand cam and show you what that method is. So, to perform the jump SOCD DP input, it's pretty unique. You know, a natural DP input would be forward, down, down, forward, something like that. But I found this to be way too many inputs and almost impossible for me to do on player 2 side using my ring and middle finger, because lifting your ring finger is actually a very weak muscle, and there's some anatomy here which actually ties your middle finger and your ring finger together, which makes it very weak for doing this. So doing this on reaction to jumps, the 10-frame DP was impossible for me. But the jump cancel SOCD is just what I needed. Forward, down, down, forward. To do that with the jump SOCD, it was forward, down, and then jump while holding forward and down, plus your button. And as you can see here, because you're holding down and pressing up at the same time, that cancels each other to give you a neutral input. So while you're holding forward, that ends up giving you a forward input. So your input becomes forward, down, forward, forward. Gives you a DP. This was my go-to method for executing uppercuts with Ed, because it's so easy to do this rolling, pulsing motion on a dime to make this uppercut come out on both sides. Extremely easy to do on a Twitch reaction. And I was like set. I was like, okay, cool. I learned to uppercut with Ed. But then comes along Terry, and this is where my problems begin. With Terry, I was initially using jump SOCD DP as well, but I definitely started running into a very key problem. Terry's DP, while being 5 frames instead of 10, has this issue of not hitting all the way behind his head. This is when I realized, wait a minute, while I finally found a method to instantly Twitch react with a DP as fast as possible for a character like Ed, I was actually being kind of covered by the fact that Ed's DP hits so horizontally behind his head that this would not happen to me. But with Terry, I was finding so many situations where I would go to anti-air DP and I would just fly underneath them or get punished like that in some weird way. And I would end up throwing away rounds in games like that, just whiffing DP. And then it became abundantly clear to me, while I thought I had solved uppercuts in Street Fighter 6, I had just begun. And this is where my journey to master cross-cutting begins. Now, you might be like me, and you might not have ever actually done cross-cutting in Street Fighter V. I did uppercuts, cross-cutting in Street Fighter 4 previously because it was very easy to actually do just a really delayed DP from crouch, and the DP would just turn around. It was very easy to have that happen, but in Street Fighter 6, it's not so easy to have that happen. In Street Fighter 6, that will happen where your DP will go the original direction far more often. So I realized I needed to solve this problem and actually learn to crosscut. So I began the process of understanding what happens when doing this crosscut situation. A crosscut is essentially when you do a DP in a way where you DP in the opposite direction of where you're originally facing. So I'm facing to the right. If I do a regular DP input with my jump SOC DP input here, I continue to do the DP to the right. In this situation where they're crossing over my head last second, what I actually need is a DP in the other direction. So how can I make that happen? Well, it's kind of funny, but the main input is a half circle ending in down back. So let me show what that input looked like. What I did there to get my DP to crosscut and turn the other way was to hold forward, and then I began doing a half circle, and I ended it, instead of going all the way to back, I would just end it prematurely on down back and press punch. And that gives you, if you time it right, a crosscut DP. Now, you might be wondering why the hell a half circle back gives you a DP input. Well, there's many ways to input DP, right? I talked about how the natural way is forward, down, down, forward. But there's also crouch DP, right? If I just hit down, forward, down, down, forward, this will give me DP as well. There's leniency on the DP input. But how the hell does a half circle back give you a DP the other way? Well, what I'm doing here is I'm simply hitting forward on the moment I cross underneath them. So if I walk underneath them here, I hit forward in the original direction, and then when I cross under, I hit down and then down forward. So if a DP input is forward, down, down, forward, that's DP. The first part of my forward happens when I'm on the original side. Then I get the down, which works on both sides. And then once they cross over my head, I end in down forward in the new direction. It pieces together your inputs from both sides of the crossover situation. So once again, I'm holding forward. I get the forward input here. I get down and I get down forward. And you have to synchronize that at this distance so that it actually, the cross-up timing happens at the right moment. So I just set this dummy to do this, and I just practice this over and over. So the key to it, to mastering it, is you have to walk underneath them at certain times. So if you don't walk underneath them at the right time, you won't end up actually getting that forward input. It's easier to walk underneath them. If you hit them when they're higher up, it's much easier. But basically, you just walk underneath them, then do this half circle back input, and you'll get the crosscut, which will prevent this from happening where you do the DP in the wrong direction entirely. So I thought, okay, great. I've mastered crosscuts, right? Well, no, because what if I'm get this angle, right? What if I get this situation where I'm completely unable to get under to the proper side and the DP just doesn't come out? What is going on there? Listen, guys, don't worry about my freaky thumb. Don't worry about the thumbs, man. What, your thumbs don't do that? Every time I do these hand cams, people act like they've never seen a hitchhiker's thumb before, bro. Listen, all right, I'm sorry. Maybe the secret to having top tier uppercuts is to have your thumb go 45 degrees backwards. Get it all out of the way. All right, get the thumb comments out of the way. Maybe you guys are just jealous. You're admiring the flexibility. I realize in some situations, especially after you whiff like a button or something of that nature and they're jumping over you trying to escape from the corner, how can I make sure I still get the crosscut if I'm not able to actually stand in that moment? I realize I should also be trying to reduce my inputs, and sometimes you want to be able to do DPs from crouching for situations where you don't want a standing hurtbox first, because with this situation, I'm actually standing first, right? So there's a chance while my hurtbox is higher up, the jump-in might land on me before I'm able to actually get the anti-air invincible DP to come out. So you might want to actually crouch to have more time to input your DP. So I realize, you know, from crouch, you can still do crosscuts. Starting from down forward, if I go down forward, down, down forward, this gives a DP. This is a DP input. So how can I apply that to cross-cutting as well? So I realize if you are at the right angle and you just hold down forward and then go to down back, not even a half circle, just down forward, down back punch, you'll also get a crosscut. I think this one's more difficult because it depends on when they cross over. But if you're at the right angle and you need to do that, you can also apply this technique as well. I think it works when you're a little bit closer. If you're further away, you'll probably have to walk forward to make sure you walk to the other side before the down forward comes out. But if you're close enough, the crouch DP input is really useful for that. Now, I thought, okay, I've mastered crosscuts. If I'm further away, I'll walk forward underneath them, and I'll do a half circle ending in down back, and I'll get a DP. If I'm up close and I need to, I can just simply hold down forward and swivel around to down back and get a crosscut that way, right? All good. I have all the methods covered here, right? And then I realized I still don't know anything because watch this situation. I did my half circle to down back, but why didn't my DP come out there, right? Like, what was the reason it didn't come out? Well, I also realized crosscuts with the half circle input work because you're inputting your forward input for the DP on the original side, either your down forward or your forward input. And then as they cross over you, you input the final down forward input on your new side. If you do a situation where they jump away from you, like you're going for a throw loop and they jump over you early, but if you do the crosscut DP input, you've already swapped sides. So you can no longer do a forward input from the original side at all. It ends up just registering as a back input because they've already crossed over you by the time you input your crosscut DP. So I realized in situations where they jump over you early, you actually need to do DP in the original or the new direction. You no longer use a crosscut input, you DP in the other way. And I thought, oh, okay. Well, then that means there's variance to when I do a crosscut versus a DP, late DP in the new direction. So if they jump over you early, I realize, like over your head like this, you need a DP in the other direction entirely, forego the crosscut input. If they jump over you from a distance and they just barely cross you up, this is when you need to use the crosscut input. So jumps from further away where they're doing like a late cross up, crosscut inputs. Jumps early over you, DP in the new direction. I realize there's different categories in different situations when to apply each DP, right? So the other thing I realized is, okay, I finally mastered crosscuts. I know when to do a walking crosscut, right? If they're further away. I can do a crouching crosscut if they're a little bit closer. And if they jump over my throw, I know I can DP in the other direction. But then I realized, usually when I DP in the other direction, I do a standing jump cancel SOCD input. And sometimes that can leave you to get hit, depending on the jump move they choose. So I realized if I jump over my forward throw in this angle, I need to master the crouch DP. The crouch DP allows you to duck lower, avoid jump-ins longer, give you more time to buffer your inputs, and you never have a standing hurt box. If you were to do jump cancel DP in certain situations, you might be liable to get hit by things like a jump heavy punch from Luke. So this is Luke doing his jump heavy punch, right? And it's a really powerful jump in because it hits so low to the ground. And a big problem is, if you try to do an anti-air with a standing hurt box, you're liable to just get bopped, right? You have to kind of duck underneath it to give you more time to do your anti-airs. So if I were to do jump SOCD DP, by the time I'm inputting the DP like this, I'm already getting hit by the jump heavy punch because it hits so low to the ground. It forces me to do the jump cancel SOCD input much earlier. If I do a crouching DP, I actually have far more time to duck underneath the jump in and then perform the DP input. It gives you the jump in will often just whiff because you crouch underneath it because you're pressing it early to hit your standing hurt box. So I realized I need to master in situations in the corner where they jump over me, jump away from my throw, I might need to DP in the other direction with an all-natural crouching input, right? There's situations where you might need to do that. So I conducted a plan here. My plan was to master doing crosscut if I'm out here in neutral and they jump forward. If they jump back, I want to do a regular crouching DP input to give me more time to potentially get the DP. And then I wanted to master those two together. So I started putting together this drill where I would have a throw here, and I would walk around like I'm trying to shimmy, and I would practice doing crosscut if they jumped over, and regular crouching DP if they jumped into the corner itself. So if they jump back, I'm doing down, forward, down, forward input. If they jump over, I'm cross-cutting. And I would often mix up my spacing and timing, you know, to practice having more variables like in a real match or something, right? Like maybe whipping a button first, doing it from crouching like that. Trying to make sure it's like more realistic than just constantly having the exact same spacing and timing. And I worked on this heavily. Then I decided, okay, that's not enough. I need to have a more realistic situation here. So I added delay wake up throw into the mix. So the goal was, okay, let's keep increasing the mental stack here. If they whiff throw, I'm going to do a actual shimmy punish and actually punish them for whiffing the throw. Get a real combo in that situation. And if they jump over me, I'm going to get a cross cut if they jump over. And if they jump back, I'm going to DP the natural way. And then I practiced that on both sides. You know, you got to do it on both sides to make sure you're not weak in any direction. I kept drilling this over and over and over until eventually it started to become almost second nature, right? Get the punish counter if they whiff the throw. And if they jump back in the corner, I do that. But then I realized I wanted to take this to the next level because I wanted to add the ultimate final layer to this. I wanted to do crosscut DP into level 3. Because that is just the most badass thing you can possibly do to somebody who's trying to jump out of the corner. I realized I needed to get the level 3 going, and that adds more complications with the uppercut. So another reason why jump SOCD DP is not that good is because jump SOCD DP often, because you're standing, does not allow you to hit the DP deep enough comfortably in order to cancel into the level 3. And also the input doesn't really line you up for a good level 3 input. You have to hit the DP really deep in order to allow the level 3 cancel to occur. If the DP hits too high up, it won't actually give you the cancel to the level 3 at all. It has to hit deep to the ground. So if they were to jump into the corner, for example, and I did my non-crouching DP, I would never really get my level 3 cancel. So I realized when they jump into the corner like this, I have to do crouching DP late in the natural way. I can't even do it here. And then cancel that to level 3. Same thing with if I went for my actual throw loop and they jump forward. So if they do this and I whiff this, if I were to just do jump cancel SOCD DP, I would get a DP, but I'm going to hit them high up and I will never get the actual level 3 cancel because it's hitting too high up. I realized I needed to crouch and wait for them to fall deeper, and then I could do potentially DP into level 3 super. Oh, why am I not getting here? There it is. Getting a little lazy with the fingers. So I realize I need to do crouch delay DP cancel to level 3 if they jump over my throw loops. If they jump in the corner, I got to do regular delay DP. And if they jump from a distance, I have to do cross up delay DP into level 3. So I started to realize that while I love jump SOCD DP, I should only use it for twitch reactions in neutral. And then only if it's not a cross-up situation. If this happens in neutral, I might need to walk under and do the crosscut DP input. So I practice all these things together, and now I'm officially able to do anti-air DP level 3 on reaction, including on crosscut situations. And piecing the whole drill together, I would mix up my timing after this throw, either walking around for a shimmy or a crosscut. Cancel into level 3 as needed. Maybe I'd even mix in the dash throw. Because remember, on dash throw, if they jump over, you got to do delay DP in the new direction. You can't do a jump cancel or a crosscut. And I just drilled this, and now I can actually do like a real DPer, crosscuts and DPs into level 3 when I'm good at it. So this really leveled up my anti-air game and also made me understand how crosscuts actually work in Street Fighter 6, and that's something I did not know before. And now I can actually uppercut in situations, and I won't have to just do regular DP and whiff it and die and feel dumb. Now I can actually punish people for jumping out of the corner, because when you have the corner position, you really need to punish people for jumping out of the corner. If you don't have this, you're going to end up just blocking these cross-up jumps, and they're going to get the corner instantly. If you have this crosscut ready, you jump out, you take the crosscut, and you get pressure right after. And you can even, like I mentioned before, convert that into a level 3 and kill them. So, I've been drilling this skill. I wanted to share that with you guys, share how I cracked the code again to take my uppercuts to the next level. And hopefully that's useful for you, especially if you didn't know how to crosscut. That explanation made sense, and you can apply that to your own gameplay. Now I'm going to apply it to my gameplay and try to land some crosscuts and land some DPs into level 3. Nice. Oh, that was it! Oh. That was a quick reaction test. I didn't do the crosscut. Oh, bro. There's this really sick technique you should check out. Watch the YouTube video when it's published. Oh, that was it! Why am I missing my crosscuts? Crosscut! 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 Oh, crosscut! Almost had the level 3 on that, too. DP level 3. There we go. Locked on. Yeah, that did not seem real. That comboed? Interesting. Oh, I shouldn't have spent it, but I wanted to do DP to level 3. But it's all part of the plan. What the fuck? He tried to do teleport as a DP on me again, but I jumped back at a weird angle. He had a crosscut there and he wasn't ready. There we go. Crosscut level 3. Right before we're about to end out the session. Alright, GG's. Landed it finally. Told you I practiced it. New skill acquired. It is part of the repertoire. Now I just gotta make sure the rest of my skills don't completely deteriorate. Thanks for watching, everybody. GG's, everyone. I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully I can figure out this issue. It's very strange. Feels bad. Don't like it. But I like you guys sometimes. Okay. I'm out. Later.